It's New Year's Eve, and I think Betty White and my father have helped me make my New Year's resolutions. Hey, you, how's it going? How are you? It's AD Roundtree. Welcome to this, your Friday edition of the show. Yeah, it's not any old Friday, though, is it? No. It's the 31st of December, the very last day of 2021. You did it. You made it through yet another year. Your long holiday weekend is upon you. And you know what? You have earned this one because every single day you work so hard. You grind away. You give the best that you are for the people that matter the most. And not only that, you do so much that helps keep our little part of the world turning too. And I want to say thank you to you for everything that you've done. If there's anything I can do for you, if you need something, if you need to talk, if there's anything I can do for you to make your New Year's Eve better, hit me up. I'm here with you. I'm here for you. At ADSXE. It's where you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at ADSXE. Put it in your phone now in case you need it later. So, I left you on a bit of a cliffhanger with the last podcast. I was waiting for a car to show up to take me to an ambulance, which would then go collect my father at a hospital in Macedonia, take us to an airport with a medical escort I hired, get us to Istanbul, Turkey from Skopje, Macedonia, and then from Istanbul, Turkey to Los Angeles. And that podcast actually cut off partway through the recording, and the car showed up, and then there was there were all kinds of challenges with that trip, and the Wi-Fi was one of them. So I never got a chance to upload until I'd already returned to America. And so I'm running behind on the podcast, just because it's been a week, my friend. And, I'll catch up next week. The plan is, I think, if you want this, if you're open to listening to this every single day, to do this on the daily, to make it a one-a-day show, Monday through Friday. And I hope that you are along for the ride. But hit me up and let me know. 20 minutes or so seems to be working for a lot of folks. And Monday through Friday seems to be working through a lot of folks. But I'd love to get your take. So please feel free, hit me up. Let me know what you think. But yeah, it was a bit of a cliffhanger, and some of you have pointed that out to me. They're like, well, so what happened? Your father had been rushed to a hospital for emergency blood transfusions after he started bleeding internally right before you were about to get on a plane. You want to fill me in? And, well, the good news is this. My father, and it was crazy. It was crazy because after 6 weeks in 4 hospitals, first in Kosovo and then in Macedonia, where we had to take my dad to get him a pacemaker battery because his pacemaker battery had run out during the course of a medical emergency. He'd really given it a workout, and without one, he wouldn't survive. And they couldn't get one for like 20 days in Kosovo, so we wound up in Macedonia. But, we wound up there, and he was more or less stable. He wasn't great, but he was what they call fit to fly. It was just sort of keeping things on an even keel until we got on that plane and got out of there. And then at the last possible moment, at the 11th hour, there was a change. I saw the blood that had been coming out of my father's digestive tract. He had been bleeding internally. He had to be rushed to another hospital where they had a better availability of blood. He got a transfusion. Then he got a transfusion of some plasma, and then he was good to fly. And thankfully, while it hasn't been totally determined what caused that, they think it was ulcerative colitis. There hasn't been any more internal bleeding. My father, after a bit of an arduous journey, has arrived in Los Angeles. I got him into a hospital about 2.5 miles from where my sister lives, so she can visit him on the regular. I sort of stayed there for a couple days, got things set up, and then got home. So my father is in rough shape after a long journey, but he is stable. He is in a hospital where he's getting comprehensive treatment, and it was challenging. By the way, quick thank you to the folks over Air Medical Group who supplied the medical transport. They sent an unbelievable flight medic called Rachel from the UK to help with the journey, and I really, really hope that you never find yourself in a situation where you need help with medical transport, because it is an unbelievably daunting, scary, and desperate situation, probably, if you need someone medically evacuated. But man, I cannot say enough about them. They were incredible from start to finish. And I got to tell you, they were a sigh of relief. And there was a time where I thought I could maybe get my dad back on his own, where I thought if I hired one of the local nurses and helped them get a visa, I could just, do the flight with someone who was equipped to administer meds and things like that. No, it is a complicated thing, especially if you need oxygen for a patient. It has to be coordinated. If you need oxygen and if you need a wheelchair like my father did, it's got to be coordinated in triplicate with all these different airlines and all these different airports. And it is just, they handled the monumental task of coordinating all of this through several different flights and a couple different airports. Well, like consummate pros. They were a sigh of relief from start to finish, and I feel so lucky to have found them. So thank you to my new friends at Air Medical Group, Joe and Rachel, for turning an impossible task into something that became a sigh of relief for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You did an absolutely amazing job. But yeah, my dad's in hospital in not awesome but stable condition, and he's getting the more comprehensive treatment that's available to him in America. He is with family. I was able to kind of share some of what I've been going through for the last 6 weeks with family. It was so good to have my sister there. And, in a paradoxical sort of way, the circumstances were really unhappy, but I hadn't seen my sister like that one-on-one in quite some time. There's always a million of us around. There's always family. There's always nieces and nephews and cousins and husbands and wives and all of the above. And I can't remember the last time I got to spend some one-on-one time with my sister. And it was a really, really good thing. So here we are. The journey in front of my father is a long one. And he is on the next leg of it. How that goes, we don't know. But if there's one thing that I've learned over the last 6 weeks, is that you keep your fingers crossed and you keep putting one foot in front of the other and you keep doing the next right thing. And, well, if you are like me, you're not big on New Year's resolutions. It's the end of 2021, and we're trying to figure out what's next. And there have been a lot of question marks that have been hanging over our head for the last couple of years for all the reasons that you know so well. And I think a lot of people do kind of go for some big reset when the clock strikes midnight on December 31st. I've never been one of those people. I've always been big on setting goals and getting after things, but I do that throughout the course of the year. I do that when it occurs to me. I don't wait until an occasion like this. If I have something I want to try and do, I try to go do it. And I think that, putting a bunch of pressure around a certain day for me isn't a super productive thing. But I do have some stuff that I would like to do this year. Do you have any goals, plans, hopes, dreams, aspirations, big changes you're looking to make in 2022? I don't know if I've got big goals and big hopes and dreams. I'm currently unemployed, so it'd be good to have a job. That'd be good. That I suppose would be number one on the list, being able to eat, pay rent, keep up with some of the hefty bills that my father's situation has incurred over the last 6 weeks. That'd be good. So yeah, to be gainfully employed sometime in the not too distant future wouldn't be a bad move, I suppose. But I think that, my father's situation and the great Betty White, who we sadly lost today after 99 incredible years on this earth, have kind of reminded me of how I want to go through this world. 99 years is a long time, but life is short. And the longer you live it, the faster it goes. And I think it's so easy to get mired down in stuff that does not really matter. And it's also tragically even easier to lose sight of the things that really do. Now, there's nothing like a brush with mortality up close and personal, whether that's yours or a parent's, that is going to put certain things into focus and help you reprioritize. If you listen in Houston, you probably know him. There's a talk radio guy called Michael Berry, and we were talking once about Warren Zevon's last album. If you've never heard it before, please listen. He made it when he knew that he was going to be passing away. He knew that he wasn't going to escape from the clutches of his cancer, so he wrote an album, basically trying to say all the things that he wanted to say before he was gone. There is an achingly beautiful, poignant song on there called Keep Me in Your Heart for a While. And when you understand the circumstances under which he wrote it, it's an incredible listen. I remember we were talking about that album, and Michael said to me, he was like, I try and consume as much end-of-life stuff as possible, whether it's music or literature or whatever it is. I try and get perspective on end-of-life situations because, well, they really sort of help you get your priorities in line. And my father's brush with his own mortality, I suppose, did what it does to all kids of parents that are going through stuff like that for me. Made me look at my own, made me go, this time on this earth that I'm never getting back, am I doing the right things with it? And, well, I think for the most part I am, but I've worked a lot over the last 17 years, but especially after the last 5. Work for a lot of us, I think, has become a sprint. And that sprint became a marathon, yet we're still running at breakneck speed. About 5 years ago, that seemed to start happening to a lot of us. COVID, lit a fire under that. And I love what I do. I love when I had a job, I loved it. I love my career. I love what I've chosen to do with life. I love the fact that I get to connect with you. I love the fact that I get to try in some way, shape, or form to brighten your day, put a smile on your face in a difficult situation. I love to be able to keep you company when you need it. But the amount that I had been working was something I was starting to question. I think a lot of us were. And looking at my dad's life and how he lived it and how uncompromising he was in doing the things that he wanted to do. Well, it sort of made me go, I don't know if I'm as good at all that as my father was. I don't know if I'm really living a life that I designed. And I don't know if I'm really spending time on the right stuff. And it also made me think, time is short. And the time to do the things that are important to you, well, that's right now. There's no do-over for this. You don't want to, there's an amazing song. Metallica's The Unforgiven. And it's interesting because if you are like me, you don't really think of Metallica as being an especially motivational band. There's a lot of doom and gloom in Metallica's music, but I think The Unforgiven is one of the most motivational things I've ever heard, because if you talk to James Hetfield, frontman for the mighty Metallica, he will tell you that it's kind of a song he wrote as a reminder to you, to me, to himself, to all of us, that you only get one shot at this life. Tomorrow is not promised. There are no chances to do it over. And you don't want to be like the character in the song who gets to the end of his time on this earth, looks back on it and goes, coulda, shoulda, woulda. If that doesn't light a fire under your butt, I don't know what will. And this up close and personal look at my father's own mortality and the state his life was in about 6 weeks ago, before he had his emergency, before he almost checked out, before his life changed, probably forever. Made me kind of go that, there's some really good things about this. This is a guy that lived his own life on his own terms. He was determined to have a daring adventure of a life, and he did. But he also lived his life like there was an inexhaustible amount of time, which it is very clear there is not. I think there were a lot of things in his life that he was looking to do soon. They were definitely on the radar. There were definitely priorities. There were definitely things that he wanted to get done. There was time he wanted to spend with his family, the people that mattered. I think he was on his way to doing more of that. Obviously, he's lived in a different country for many years, but he'd wanted to, but there was stuff that got in the way. And then he was going to, but then COVID got in the way. And well, here we are today. And I haven't spent anywhere near the amount of time I would like to spend with my father. And I don't know if he spent the amount of time with me and my sister that he would like to. And you just don't know. The only thing you can know about the amount of time that you are going to have on this earth is that it is going to run out. And so I suppose if I had a New Year's resolution, it would be to be wiser with that time, to do the things that mattered, to make sure that I told the people that I loved how I felt, to make sure that they knew it, that they knew they had a friend, that they knew they had a relative, that they knew they had a son who loved them, who cared for them. And I got to be honest, I got pretty good at that with my dad because, his health has not been awesome for quite some time. And in a way, I'd sort of prepared for this for quite some time by always taking as much time as possible to speak to him. There'd be time where my dad was not necessarily cognizant of the time difference between where he was and where I was. And I'd get these calls at like 3 a.m. I'd be like, it's just my dad. My dad's getting older. My dad has health problems. I'm going to wake up and take this call because who knows how many more of them I've got. I'm very glad that I did. And my dad's situation has made me want to double down on that. My dad's situation has made me want to double down on this idea that I've got that, family really matters. Spending time with people you care about really matters. Showing up for your friends when they need it really matters. I don't know if working yourself into the ground really accomplishes a whole hell of a lot. Money's important. Money can't buy you happiness, but money does, in some way, shape, or form, give you a certain sense of security. And that gives you a certain sense of peace. And peace is pretty close to happiness. In fact, I don't know if you can have happiness without peace. So working, producing, making money, all of the above, having a career, having a job, being able to take care of family, friends, people that depend on you, people that you love, that is going to be important for you, for me, for all of us until the end of time. But that time will run out. And, this has shown me that I never want to look back on it and go, coulda, shoulda, woulda. This has shown me that I never want to look back on it and think, I wish I would have spent more time with them. I wish I would have made that lunch. I wish I would have picked up that phone call. So, I guess that's what's been on my mind as I'm making my way into the new year. A brush with mortality will make you assess how you spend your time. There's no two ways about it. And then the great Betty White passed away after 99 incredible years on this earth. Couple weeks shy of her 100th birthday, which is a great shame to us. But you know what? To her, I don't know that it necessarily mattered. I think she enjoyed a life well lived. And I was reading about Betty White's sort of tips for a long, healthy, happy life before she passed away. she made it to 99 and people were like, this is incredible. How you doing this? And she was like, it really does help to focus on the positive. And it really does help not to focus so much on yourself, not to worry so much about yourself, to give thought to others and try and enjoy life. There's a lot of negativity, but there's also a lot to enjoy. And when it's there, really enjoy it. I think that's what I learned, what I've been learning more and more over the last couple of years, is when there's a moment to enjoy, throw yourself into it 100%. If there's a moment to do something for someone else, you're doing that. If you can help someone, just go ahead and do it now. If you love someone, if you care about someone, doesn't matter if they're a boyfriend, girlfriend, family member, husband, wife, friend, coworker. If you've got an opportunity to be good to someone, to be cool to someone, to make somebody feel good, to tell them that you love them, go ahead and do it now. We might not get those chances back. And even if we get 100 chances to do that, you know what? It's probably always going to feel good. So, I suppose that my father's brush with mortality, my father's situation now, and the great Betty White have made me look at this new year that's about to spread out before us and think, I'm going to focus more on the stuff that matters. I'm going to focus more on doing the things that matter. I'm going to make sure that when I care about someone, they know. And if I love someone, they're going to hear it from me. I'm bearing that in mind. I love you. Thank you so much for being a part of my radio family. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'll be back soon. We'll do it all over again. I wish you and yours the very, very best in 2022.